Hi everybody and welcome to today's video, and today we're going to be talking about the UK property market in 2024. Will there be a crash? But first let me tell you about us. We're the UK's leading stamp duty advisors and have been so for a number of years. So if you're considering purchasing a property this year, or indeed have bought a property in the last 4 years, get in touch with us. Click on the link below, because we may be able to assist you and prevent an overpayment of SDLT or reclaim if you've already overpaid. So, the 2024 property market, where are we? As you know, we've had a considerable period of instability, economically and politically. But first, it's probably right to get our terms correct. For example, a fall of 10% or less in the market is called a correction. A fall of 10 to 20% is called a crash. A fall of more than 20% is called Armageddon. But I don't think we need to worry about that one. So will there be a crash in the UK property market in 2024? According to the definitions, no, almost certainly not. So let's have a look at where we are today. We sit here with the Bank of England base rate at 5.25%. Having been there since August last year, a record high. We've seen inflation come down, and in the main the trend is still downwards. The prediction is that it'll be below the target 2% by the end of April, all things being equal. So are we likely to see interest rate cuts in 2024? I would have said almost certainly. And indeed, the banks are giving mixed signals. Some are showing their 2- and 5-year fixed rates below base rate. Others are lowering their prices, others are increasing their prices of mortgages. So it's very, very confusing. We also have to factor in all of the things that have caused the cost of living crisis, the war in the Ukraine, and other factors that have affected things geopolitically and forced prices up. But now they're starting to trend downwards. You also have to really think in terms of when that correction and if there be a correction. Now, of course, there are factors that govern all property markets. It's demand, supply, and the demand side is largely being throttled by the lack of affordability. But we also have to consider that there's an undersupply in the UK market. Demand is still exceeding supply. And I'll get into a little bit more of why that is in detail in a moment.
Are you a property developer or investor? Have you paid stamp duty in the last 4 years? You could be eligible for a full or partial refund from HMRC. We've reclaimed over £12 million in the last 12 months. Contact us today.
So overall, I think it's highly unlikely that we're going to see a correction, certainly not a crash in the forthcoming 12 months. One of the other factors we have to consider is, what is the property market? And the property market is segmented. It depends on the price range you're buying in, where you're buying, who you are, whether you're an owner-occupier or an investor, and all of these affect the market. For example, London, very, very attractive to inward investors as a safe haven for capital, has seen a continued increase in demand for very high-end properties from those people seeking to shelter capital and provide themselves with a safe haven to run to if they need to in the event of local political instability. So the prices of properties and the demand for properties over 3 million in London was consistently rising throughout 2023, and all the indicators are will continue to rise in 2024. And the supply of those properties is actually increasing, because there are ready buyers. Looking below that price range and outside London, there has been little demand from first-time buyers because they simply cannot afford mortgages, and a reducing demand from investors, despite the fact that there is an increasing demand from renters and a desire for people to own their own homes. As a result of which, developers have not been building large numbers of houses speculatively, but rather waiting until they can take pre-orders before constructing. So at the moment, the rate of production is meeting the rate of demand. The net effect is that there is still an undersupply, and that tends to force prices upwards. So what's my prediction for 2024? Well, pretty much what it was in 2023, except that, of course, I got it slightly wrong. I expected interest rates to fall sooner. But everything is keyed around that factor. Once we all start to believe that interest rates are going to fall and mortgages are going to be affordable and the cost of living crisis is eased, we're all going to step back into the market, and that's going to have a tendency to force prices upwards, because the developers who want to build the new homes can't spin up and get back to full production, as it were, in the space of a few weeks. It often takes them a few months, if not a year or two. And don't forget, those developers are going to have easy access to working capital to build those houses so they can sell them to you. So overall, I think a prediction broadly of 6 to 8% property growth generally across the UK, higher in some areas, particularly London, is likely to be accurate if the current predictions about interest rates and wars and general economic stability are maintained. Now, all that being said, we can't predict the future. We can only project based on current circumstances. But I cannot conceive at this time, barring a major disaster or a major war or other globally disrupting activity, that the UK will be anything other than an attractive place for inward investment, which should help to support property prices in the medium term. So is it now time to buy in the UK? Sadly, this will depend on who you are. If you are a non-mortgage buyer, yes, almost certainly. It's a buyer's market. If you're an owner-occupier looking to move up to the next larger house, step up the chain, and you can do so without increasing your borrowing exposure or your monthly repayments to the point where they become intolerable, then again it is. But a lot of us face individual uncertainties, which may militate against you taking that brave decision to go to the next step up. And so I believe until mortgages become more affordable for us all and more predictable for us all, we're not going to see much movement. So probably second, almost certainly third quarter of this year, things should start to happen. And if you're in the market and making offers before that time, timing it right, then you could get yourself a bargain and have to borrow less. Well, that's all I've got to say today. I'd love to hear your thoughts and observations. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if you've got an individual question about stamp duty or property purchasing, click on the link, get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to answer them. I've been David Hanna for Cornerstone Group. Thank you for listening.